Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Sportsnaut interview. And today we are joined by Atlanta Falcons beat writer D. Orlando Ledbetter, who writes for the Atlanta Constitution Journal. And we have him on here today to discuss the draft selection that really shocked the world on Thursday night. Michael Penix is now an Atlanta Falcon. Just a few weeks after the Falcons signed free agent Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million deal. It left many people wondering, so that's where we're going to start with you, D. Orlando. From what you have learned since the selection was made last night, why did the Falcons decide to go with Michael Penix as their first-round draft selection?
Yeah, they came down last night and said, hey, Kirk Cousins is the quarterback. Mike Penix is the future. Now, they have been through a situation where Matt Ryan's career ended and they didn't have a clear transition plan. They tried to sign Deshaun Watson, were not ready to pay 230 guaranteed dollars and found themselves playing with Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ritter. That didn't work out, and so this offseason they dedicated themselves to finding a quarterback for next season and apparently another quarterback for the future, and that's how they couched the collective moves at that position.
Yeah, we've heard many times over the years of other teams, bringing in the heir apparent while the starting quarterback was still in house. We've seen the Packers do it many times successfully with Aaron Rodgers and then Jordan Love. But we all know these quarterbacks, they can be a bit diva-ish. So I guess what I'm wondering is, how do you think this could affect the dynamic and the relationship between Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons? Because we heard on Thursday night from his agent that they were totally caught off guard by this. They weren't notified of the plan to, bring in the future quarterback until they were on the clock. So do you think this could affect the relationship at all?
Certainly, no question about it. But hey, this is an old school football move. You got to go back to the 70s when the Steelers had three quarterbacks: Terry Henry, Terry Bradshaw, Jefferson Street Joe Gilliam. And it's the origin of the Packers plan when they got Brett Favre from the Falcons, but then they kept drafting quarterbacks. They drafted seven quarterbacks out of the next 9 years. They drafted quarterbacks. Now they developed them. They didn't keep them because Brett Favre got on track and got better. They traded Mark Brunell. They traded Aaron Rodgers. They traded Matt Hasselbeck. So this is an old school plan, kind of not so much where you care about the feelings of the player, but you stack the position of your team, and then you're not caught flat-footed without a quarterback like Denver. When Peyton Manning goes, they don't have a quarterback. There's been 10 people in there. There are several other teams that we could cite. So, yeah, they don't really take into account the diva attitude. I knew the Falcons, when they had Matt Ryan, they purposely didn't bring in any competition. That was more of a modern approach. This one here is more of an old school approach.
How much of the decision to draft Michael Penix at 8 overall had to do with the fact that Kirk Cousins is, working his way back from the Achilles injury? He's 35 years old. I know the science behind Achilles surgeries is much improved from where it was years ago, but was this at all about having an insurance policy in place, or was this solely about just planning for the future after Kirk Cousins?
Yeah, it was couched by them as being solely for the future, so we'll take them for their word for that at that. But if he goes down, then you got a little better option than Taylor Heineke, which is, who's still on the roster also. So, yeah, we'll take them at their word that this is not an insurance policy. This is the guy they like. This is the guy they wanted. It wasn't going to be there much past 8. Contrary to popular belief, the Raiders probably would have snapped him at 13. So, yeah, we'll take them at their word. This is a plan for the future, and their insurance plan now has another person to go with it, along with Taylor Heineke.
D. Orlando, you're close to the organization and you cover them day in and day out. Throughout the draft process, was there any indication that you got from the team that quarterback could be the direction that they decide to go in with this first round pick?
Yeah, we at the combine they talked to Penix, and we knew he was, first round, maybe definitely second. Pending the medicals. They talked to several other quarterbacks also at the combine, and then later on we saw them all go out to Seattle to work him out. So we're thinking, maybe they trade back and get him, or they're just doing their due diligence at the position. But later on, it never became apparent that they were going in this direction. There was several reports that they were doing a lot of homework on Penix, and so we did include him in our 5 players on the Falcons radar story because of that.
Okay, so it sounds like it didn't come off as much of a surprise for people who were close to the team, but for fans like myself of the league, definitely caught us off guard there. I saw some footage circulating on social media from inside the Falcons' war room, and I'm sure you saw it yourself. Arthur Blank, the owner, having what looked like a pretty animated conversation with the general manager, almost looking like he was trying to explain himself and explain the pick to Arthur Blank. Is this something, this selection, is this one that Arthur Blank would have had to sign off on? Or is this a case where the general manager has, full control of the roster, and maybe Arthur Blank found out about this for the first time last night as well?
Yeah, we requested Arthur Blank today. They're not going to make him available. I'm just going to call his cell phone and see if he'll take my call. Because I would like to have him explain that. That's certainly what it looked like. We didn't ask them that last night. That was an oversight by the local media and myself. We got a lot going on. We're trying to make deadlines and try not to be here at 1, 2 in the morning. So yeah, it certainly looks like the owner didn't know what was going on, and they were trying to break it down for him, which would be a major departure from how they have done business in the past. Because Arthur Blank was known to be well briefed on the draft plans and up to speed on everything they were doing in the personnel department. So that would be a departure. So I want to be certain that indeed was the case in that video clip that that's making its way around the internet.
Yeah, when you get a hold of Arthur Blank, make sure you tweet out what he tells you, because I'm very interested to know what he thought about that as well. I've heard what you had to say about the Falcons and their general manager, justifying the pick. But when you consider Michael Penix's age, okay, he's 24. He's going to be 24 years old very, very soon here. And, it's possible that he could sit for 2 years, possibly 4 years, if Kirk Cousins is able to play out the length of the contract. Michael Penix may not get on the field till he's 28, 29 years old. So to me, it seems like it's a little bit hard to justify the selection when you think about those, when you consider those things that I just mentioned. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no question about it. That's also another modern view. And looking at the old school, you could point to Kurt Warner. He didn't get on the field until he was 28 also. And when he finally got on the field, he was pretty good. Won a Super Bowl and went to a couple more with Arizona and the Giants. So age isn't a determinative factor. But, it's not a cookie cutter case where, hey, he went to college for 4 years. He got out. We're seeing guys stay in for 6 now. You got the COVID year. Guys are skewing older, is what the Falcons are saying. So age isn't the determining factor for them. It's football ability and talent. So they think the talent outweighs the age in this instance.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point you make there. I suppose that if you asked a Falcons fan if they got 10 or 12 good years out of Michael Penix, it doesn't really matter whether it's when he's age 24 or age 28, as long as he plays well for them once he gets his opportunity to play. So a great point you make there. I just got one final question I'd like to ask you about here before I let you run, and I know you're a very busy man right now in high demand. But what's the fan reaction like? I know you've been busy with your work, but I'm sure you've heard from those passionate Falcons fans. What are they saying right now about the selection of Michael Penix?
It was utter outrage on my ride home at 2 in the morning last night. The stations had to, they kept the lines open because, the fans were in an uproar, couldn't understand the move. And so everybody's pretty hot last night. And then today driving in, some 16 hours, 12 hours later, they're like, okay, I still don't like it, but at least I understand it. So you go from not having a quarterback to, hey, maybe you got one for the next 10 years. So it's starting to settle in the thinking that was behind the moves. But the fans that think that, hey, the Falcons are close to contending and want to be better next year, they can't see the forest for the trees. So they're still in an uproar.
Yeah, yeah. And in fairness, I think the fans should probably allow the rest of the draft to play out. There's still plenty of good football players out there, and there's still plenty of opportunities for the Falcons front office to try to improve that roster. But Orlando Ledbetter, one of the best in the business. We appreciate you. We thank you so much for your time, and thanks for giving us some of your insight today.
Thank you so much, Evan. I really appreciate it. And I thank my members of the media for letting me yell at you in our media room. They don't have a podcast room for us here, but thanks so much.